but they cannot enforce U.S. law. They're prohibited from doing that by a law called Posse Comitatus. What they can do is similar to what the National Guard, under the auspices of the governor, is doing, and that is assist the Border Control and the customs officials in their enforcement duties. So a lot of the help will be, as you suggested, engineers, medical support, logistics support in general, to assist the Border Patrol so that they are not performing those duties, particularly when it comes to dealing with large groups of people.
So
that'll be the focus.
Is it the right use of military forces, since they do have restrictions on them, to send the military down there to try to help out?
Well, I don't think we have much choice. I mean, if the president's made a decision that he doesn't want illegal entry to take place by the thousands on our border, this would exceed the capacity of local police and certainly state police to be able to do that. The alternative he had would be to bring in more National Guard to do it. But so I think what we'll see is, I believe this is the beginning. I think there will be considerably more troops. I don't know, because I don't know the scale of this problem. But I think once the commanders get involved in it, I'm talking about active duty commanders, and they talk to the Border Patrol leadership, and they start to assess where the entry is going to be made. It's going to be made in more than one place. I'm talking about the attempted caravan entry, and what they think the size of that will be. They'll have a better feel for how many forces they actually need.
General, I guess one of the bottom line questions is, will this make a difference at all?
I think it will if they're able to stop them, because if they don't stop them, obviously the reason why we have this caravan is because other caravans were able to penetrate, and they're largely, the overwhelming majority of those people are in the United States in some kind of capacity. They're not under our control. What is under our control is tens of thousands of unaccompanied children who came by themselves, and we obviously have some control of them for the sensitivity involved and also trying to place them.
General Jack Keane, I would say thanks for joining us tonight, but we're going to see you in a bit, so stay right there. General, thanks.
Okay, Ben.
12 days left until the midterms, as you probably know, and President Trump has kept this issue, the issue of the caravan, front and center, and Republicans are taking notice. Joining me now is Madison Gessiato. She is a Trump 2020 Campaign Advisory Board member who also serves with the National Diversity Coalition for Trump, along with the Democratic strategist Nathan Rubin. Thanks for joining us tonight, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Good to be with you.
So I want to show you a poll that was just released today by USA Today Suffolk University. Here it is. It says top issues for voters. Healthcare, or immigration rather, and border security, 14%. Healthcare, 11%. Economic issues after that. When you really dig into the numbers here, it is Republicans who have immigration as their top priority, and Democrats who have health care as their top priority. Madison, is this why we're hearing the president talk about this caravan?
Yeah, I mean, the president's talking about this because it is something important to the people. It's something that he's been addressing for multiple years now. Our immigration system has been broken for decades. Congress has done nothing about it, and that's why we're faced with issues like this. Our border is not secure, and people in this country are put at risk when we let people pour over the border. On top of that, it really detracts from the good people that are trying to come to this country that are going to have more difficulty doing so when there's so much chaos right now at the border. We want this to be an easy process for people who want to come in and immigrate legally to live the American dream, just like my family and so many other families have done in the past. And so we want to make this simpler. We want to make it a streamlined process. And we can't do that when people are just pouring across the border and we don't know who or what is coming into our country, which of course is so important to know.
Nathan, when you view this in the lens of we do have a midterm election coming up here in less than 2 weeks, there are some who believe that this caravan, politically speaking, will help the president because it will drive Republicans out to the polls because of their top issue. Do you subscribe to that? Do you believe that?
Well, I think we have to ask the question, is immigration one of the top issues because that's what people care about, or is that because Donald Trump keeps talking about it? Again, with this issue of the migrant caravan, this is much more of a humanitarian issue than it is a national security issue. There have been caravans in the past. There will likely be caravans again in the future. Their numbers are dwindling. They're over 1,000 miles away from the border. There is a process for entry, whether they are refugees seeking asylum or other forms of legal entry. So again, I don't see this as one of the national emergencies that Donald Trump is trying to portray it to be.
Why not?
Because for the sole fact that they are over a few weeks away from even becoming close to our border. They're still far away in Mexico. The Mexican government has been handling this. The numbers are drastically falling. There's no reason necessarily for Donald Trump to play this up as an issue the way he has been, trying to draw up fear amongst his base.
I think if one more person comes across this border illegally and kills someone, rapes someone, or commits a violent crime in this country that was preventable if we simply secured our borders, that's unacceptable. That's a crisis as far as I'm concerned. We can't have any more Kate Steinleys or Molly Tibbetts in this country.
I recognize that they're bringing up the national security issue, but something that we're not talking about is that in 2009, the Department of Homeland Security released a report on right-wing extremism, and we don't know who's sending around these pipe bombs, but there are a significant amount
that has nothing to do with this. You're conflating two unrelated issues.
But you're recognizing that there is some level of extremism someone's targeting here in the country already. So when we talk about the national security issue of the migrant caravan, let's take off the kid gloves and recognize that there are people here that are dangerous that we should also be talking
There's people all over the world that are dangerous. Of course there's people in this country that are dangerous. Why would we want to invite more in?
Madison, briefly, as we set to go here, national emergency, you believe this is, as the president says so?
Yeah, I think it's very concerning. Again, we need to secure our borders, make sure we know who's coming to this country, and even more importantly, what's coming into this country. I'm from the state of Ohio, where the opioid crisis has affected people drastically.
Madison, Nathan, we'll leave it there. Madison gave you the last word. Nathan, you'll be right back with us, so stay there as well. Thank you to you both.
Thanks.
Meantime, to another roller coaster day for investors. The Dow and S&P 500 roaring back with a vengeance on upbeat earnings reports and after yesterday's blistering sell-off. Plus, the Nasdaq delivered its biggest gains in 7 months after suffering its worst